So here's a song where written for the theme, which was the power of love, right? Okay, I got close at least. Love's a pretty broad topic, but this is actually a title of a Robert Heinlein science fiction novel called Time Enough for Love, which I thought was a good idea to talk about or sing about. And we have the wonderful Ron Willis here helping me out. Modern living, well designed, guaranteed to cloud your mind. Where's the world I'm dreaming of? Where there's time enough for love. You're running late. Clocks are ticking, palpitate. That's your new vocabulary word, everybody. Ain't it time to rise above and make time enough for love? But you wait for that fateful day when the world may melt away just for you. Hesitate and the days go by, leaving you high and dry and so blue. Hold the door and lend a hand. Listen deep and understand. Give your heart a gentle shove and make time enough for love. There's a light inside us all, waiting for the scales to fall from our eyes. Let the light come shining through. It reflects right back to you as the prize. Little things can mean so much. Tender words, a gentle touch. Ain't it time to rise above, where there's time enough for love? Where there's time enough for love. Where there's time enough for love.
Soon after I became interim minister here, I got a wonderful phone message, and it was from our speaker today saying, "Whatever you need me to do, let me know." And so she's here again. I have let her know. Reverend Aikya Param serves as the staff minister at Agape Bay Area in Piedmont, California. And most of us know her, but as a way of introduction, she creates visual art with fountain pen and watercolor, and writes books, articles, and poems. For 20 years, she had a prison ministry serving inmates in 20 states. Her first book, Can't Wait to Change, tells the stories of people in prison whose commitment to recreate themselves inspired her. Plans are for a book of poems, Citywide and Shoreline, to be available in November. So we welcome Reverend Aikya today and are glad to have her here. Thank you.
Thank you. It's so good to see every one of your radiant faces. I know many of you from my past times here, and you are indeed the face of God. So thank you for being here. Today I want to talk about love, and well, where is it anyway? For one thing, a lot of us go about looking for it outside of ourselves, you know? Well, that's how we look for everything, right? When you lose the keys in the house, you don't sit and meditate. You look all over the house, you move things, you try to find out where it is. Since we're little babies, all our senses go outward. And so we're used to looking on the outside. And looking for love on the outside is quite an adventure. We get involved in friendships that may not work out. You get involved sometimes in partnerships that may be nice and may not be nice. You move to a place that looks like the perfect place to live and maybe not. Looking for love on the outside, well, maybe it doesn't work so well. You know, there's a song in Oliver, Where is Love? It's a question a lot of us have as we go through life. Ernest Holmes, who's the founder of Religious Science, that's the New Thought group that I came up in, he says, that's the other thing, God, right? Here we are in church, God. Don't we know God is love? And where is God? God is everywhere. Well, it's interesting. God is everywhere. Must be in me, must be in you, must be everywhere, right? So Ernest says, intellectually we know God is love. But our spiritual knowledge of God comes through discovering and feeling the loving presence at the center of our own being. That's where love is, at the center of our own being. Love also is a power. It's a problem solver. Did you know? Oh, you probably do know that. I know you're Unity people. You know a lot of things. So love is a problem solver. And in this book that I'll go raving and raving about, The Prospering Power of Love by Catherine Ponder, she tells lots of wonderful stories. It's a very inspiring book. I recommend it. She tells, for example, about love in business and people's personal lives and in their health. And Charles Fillmore, the founder of Unity, had something to say. He was talking about love and problems. Is there anybody here who does not have any problems at all? Oh, well, then let's see what Charles has to say. He says, bless your problems. Whatever it may be, bless your problem with a thought similar to this. I now release you and bless you. Divine love is adjusting my life and its problems. Realizing this, I abide in peace. Every person who thus allies himself with the power of divine love, creates a bit of heaven on earth. So bless your problems. They are, Catherine Ponder would say, they are your initiation into divine love. Bless your problems. So Catherine Ponder gives some examples of how divine love has transformed situations. I'll take business first. I think I actually have a slide. Even though it's third in the list, we'll go from the bottom to the top. She tells about one business that was really having a hard time, really struggling. And it wasn't at all clear that things were going to go well. And this was where Catherine Ponder, Reverend Catherine Ponder, worked her first job. She was fresh out of school, young and inexperienced, very well trained, but completely inexperienced. And when she went to her first board meeting, several of the board members just kind of, they went on and on. What is she doing here? She is so unqualified. I don't want to work with somebody like this, so on and so forth. And other members of the board said, well, she's trained, and she's been sent here by home office. We're willing to work with her. Let's try what ideas she has. So time went by and had another board meeting, and this time Catherine Ponder decided she had already known that divine love was her secret weapon. So she came to the board meeting and she told them that divine love was her secret weapon, and she was going to put it to use to solve the problems of this company. Oh well, when those cranky board members heard this was way too much. Love? Who ever heard of using a soft thing like love? Listen, we've got problems here. And they quit and left. And Catherine Ponder said, that was the first gift of divine love. She found out that the chairman of the company didn't share that idea about divine love. He understood its power. And so they agreed to meet together and talk about what was going on and see if they could plan some better things. And they started each meeting with this: divine love is doing its perfect work here and now. Divine love harmonizes, divine love adjusts, divine love prospers, divine love foresees everything and richly provides every good thing for this organization now. Divine love is now victorious. And without their having to do anything, people in the company suddenly started getting along better with each other and working together and starting to talk about how to solve little problems. And they got busy doing that as Catherine Ponder and the CEO met every day and repeated that prayer. So the company completely changed. It became successful. They thought it was absolutely amazing, really, that it happened so quickly and with so little conflict. And then, even better than that, someone came and gave them paint. Somebody else came and offered to paint the office space. They were given furniture, and the whole building, as well as the business, was transformed to a beautiful place. Divine love is victorious now. So, then the personal example, of which there are many in this book, but there's one that's kind of interesting, and you could perhaps use it. Sometimes we have people in our lives who are difficult to deal with, and just sort of permanently difficult to deal with. We cannot seem to talk to them and make things work well. So Catherine Ponder suggests, she says, everyone has an angel. You know that, right? Everybody has an angel. So she suggests that we pray to the person's angel to resolve the problem. And she claims that it works very well. And this is related, one of my personal experiences in a business. I wasn't thinking of an angel, but I did have a coworker who really always found fault with me and was just very disagreeable. And I disliked going to work because I had to work with this woman, and that was our relationship. So I didn't know about praying to her angel, but I realized that she must be very unhappy. That's why she was being like that, because I hadn't done anything to her. She didn't know me at all. So I decided to meditate on her as a happy person, a happy version of her, and to imagine that all kinds of good things were coming into her life and new friends, and she was having opportunities that she'd never had before. And that's how I thought about her. And the next day when I went to work, and I went kind of timidly over to talk to her because I had to do something, she was absolutely fine. She had no problem at all. And from that day forward, we had a very easy, friendly, wonderful relationship. So you can talk to their angel, or just imagine that those people who are giving you a hard time maybe need a little more happiness. And then there's health. Let me see. No, I don't have any more of those. So I guess I can tell. Oh, there's a story in here about a woman who had a breast lump, and she was very disturbed about it, and a little frightened. But instead of talking about that to everyone, she thought, well, there must be something in me, in my mind, my thinking, and my attitudes that's hard, like this lump. And so she tried to look at all the things that she could think of to figure out what was the problem. And she couldn't really come up with anything right away. But years before, her husband had had an affair with another woman, and it was a very difficult time. They worked it out, and now they were happy. But she realized she still had a feeling of unforgiveness toward to the woman, and a little bit to her husband, actually, that he went along and did that. So she very carefully worked on thinking about that woman and forgiving her, just loving her and forgiving her and releasing her from that feeling of judgment and dislike. And then she thought of her husband and realized what a wonderful husband he was and had been for many years. And so she let go whatever little bit of disturbance she still had about that adventure that he had once upon a time. She worked on this for quite a while, and when she was done, she thought, well, maybe I better check what's happening here. So she went to have the lump checked and possibly biopsied, and nobody could find a lump. It was gone. She had released those things, the hard ways of thinking and dealing with things in her own mind, and the lump had softened and dissolved. So then I mentioned my eye, so I'll tell you about my eye. I had my lower eyelid was red, and so they decided they needed to do a biopsy. So I had a biopsy last Thursday, and I'll find out the results next Thursday. So it's just I can't tell you an ending to this, except I can tell you that because of reading this book, I often cover my eye and say, divine love heals me. Divine love heals me. I've been doing that for several days. Now, yesterday, I told Reverend Jerry I didn't know how I was going to manage here today because I was coughing and coughing and coughing. But I kept doing this for my eye, you know. Divine love heals me. Well, I'm doing okay, right? I haven't collapsed in coughing yet. Divine love heals me. So, I just offer that to you if you need it. Now let's see, I have another slide. Oops, too far. There it is. So I was thinking about our ancestors and our spiritual ancestors. I guess I'm thinking about our ancestors because I've been looking at who mine are on Ancestry.com. Anybody do that? Look at, and what's the other one? 23andMe or whatever. Oh, there you go, one hand. So it's very interesting, and I found my grandfather, for example, came from a really big family. Some of them came to the United States. Quite a few of them remained in Ireland. But they had a high value for wisdom, for knowledge, for education. And so all of them contributed, saved and contributed so that he could go to college. It was a really big deal. No, none of the others. I think there were 17 children, 5 of whom died in childhood. That was in the old days when people had very big families so that there would be lots of folks to work on the farm. But none of them had gone to college, but he graduated from college, St. John's University, because of the love of his ancestors who had a value for knowledge and wisdom. So, and then spiritual ancestors, I had to go back to our spiritual grandmother, Emma Curtis Hopkins. She was a very dynamic woman, and she was a healer as well. She was so close in her heart at all times to that divine love I was talking about, that sometimes she just went to a hall and sat and people came in, and that divine love was so powerful in her, she didn't have to say anything. People would be healed. She also was a very dynamic speaker and teacher. She's called the teacher of teachers. And indeed, she taught Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. And when she was finished, I think her book, there's a book where she talks about the 12 qualities of God. And that was her main textbook. And when she got finished teaching them, and they were not the only ones, there was also Melinda Kramer, who later founded Divine Science, and another famous unity persona, H. Emily Cady, is it, who wrote, she's the author of Lessons in Truth, 12 Lessons in Practical Spirituality. I believe in some unity circles, it's very popular. It's something everybody reads and studies, and it's very easy to read. It's not, you can tell I had to get a copy and see what it was about. So anyway, she taught all of those individuals, and when she was done teaching them, she said, go teach others. So Charles and Myrtle Fillmore started Unity. Melinda Kramer started Divine Science. And Oh, another one. Annie Ricks Millets started the Home of Truth, which we have the last remaining place in Alameda. And she also, many, many years later, after she taught them, she taught Ernest Holmes, who started religious science. So the teacher of teachers is your spiritual ancestor. So, and I want to give a shout out. This wonderful woman, Catherine Ponder, is now 95 years old, still going strong. She's a minister in Palm Desert, California. She's written more than a dozen books. This one is really inspiring, The Prospering Power of Love. It'll become another book. I have one book by Ernest Holmes that I always tell people about, and this will be another one that I'll mention. So she's the founder of Unity Church Worldwide. She's the winner of the 2021 Walden Lifetime Achievement Award because she has founded several churches, written, at least, as I say, about a dozen books. She's a powerhouse, and she's still going strong. So good for Catherine. I recommend the book. So how about if we just take a minute and consider, how is divine love healing you? How is divine love prospering you? How would you like to declare divine love is transforming your life right now? Let's take a minute and just be still and be with that question, and let divine love bless you. Just a few minutes of meditation. and start to breathe a little more deeply. Feel your feet on the floor and your body in the chair. Come back into the room and open your eyes when you're ready. I give thanks for this opportunity to come and see so many of my beloveds, to be in this beautiful, beautiful church with Reverend Maggie's paintings and Sue Ellen Parkinson's paintings, but most of all, the divine light of each of you. Thank you so much for inviting me. I did, oh, it's all right.
Thank you, Reverend Aikya. Indeed, we cannot hear about divine love too often. And you brought us an inspiring and moving message today. So thank you. Speaking of love, here at Unity Spiritual Center, we are an ocean of love. Here at Unity Spiritual Center, we have an inspiring vision, an exciting mission, and compelling values by which we strive to live. Please join with me in saying them aloud. Our vision is, centered in God, we co-create a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. Our mission is, we are a creative, joy-filled, spiritual community dedicated to healing, inspiring, and transforming the lives of all people through prayer, education, and love. And our values are, we are spirit-led, generous with resources, inclusive, joyously creative, and guided by integrity. And in this space, feeling so inspired by our vision, mission, and values that we just spoke aloud, and feeling so enriched by what we've experienced here today, let us take time now to be a channel for enrichment through our generous tithes and love offerings. As Patrick shares the next beautiful song with us, please take that time to write out a check to USC, or if you are on Zoom, to make a donation online. If you are here in the sanctuary, our usher will come forward to take your offering. And practicing the principle of tithing ourselves as a spiritual community, we are pleased to tithe 10% of the offering collected every Sunday to various Unity organizations and local nonprofits serving our city. So let us take a moment now to bless our tithes and those offerings as we either cup them in our hands or next to our hearts. Let us say the offering blessing, which is on your screen. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
So before I sing, I just want to say I'm looking out and seeing some of the young people in the audience here. And I've recently moved away from the area, and now I'm living with my two daughters and their families. So there's myself, my wife, my daughters, my son-in-laws, and the kids, the little grandkids around. So it's great to be around young people. And I want to tell, I was a high school teacher, and I was always encouraging. I feel like there's a cusp of change about to happen in our society, and I look at the young people and I say, it is your time. It's your time now. And I'm encouraged, and I hope that you see this maybe function of a community for yourselves to embrace and take hold of and join in and make yourselves felt for that. So I really believe in that, for the young folks to come in through and make their meaning. Okay? So here's a song called You Lead With Your Heart. Oftentimes we talked about the way we think about things in our mind, but really what we're trying to find is what we feel in our soul and our heart. So if you feel like you want to come up, all of a sudden you feel like you got to play percussion, come on up. And if you want to jam with me and me and Ron, come on up, feel free. Or do an interpretive TikTok dance. I don't care. It's all good. You know what I mean? Here we go. All my intentions help me chart my course. Too many times I put the cart before the horse. I gotta be open to spirit and then let it light the way. Trust intuition to find a brighter day. Think for yourself, but lead with your heart. Thoughts bring intentions, and love is where we start. You gotta mind where you are, and then let those dreams take flight. And when spirit comes calling, you know love will bring the light. Too much confusion, I feel a mental overload. There's a light speed connections, but it's still hard to see the road. Hold on to that center, it's the core of what you are. When you feel spirit starts rising, it is rising to the nearest star. Now think for yourself, yeah, because the dreams will manifest. Spirit comes a-calling, it's calling out your best. You gotta think for yourself, but lead with your heart. And thoughts bring intention, but love is where we start. Deep inside of you, let the love come shining, and look at the miracle that you are. You're a star, yeah, you're a star. Oh, don't you know you're a star? Let me tell you now, think for yourself. You gotta lead with your heart. Thoughts will bring intentions, and then love is where we start. You gotta mind where you are, and let dreams, let them take flight. Spirit comes a-calling, and love will bring the light. Come on, love will bring the light. You know, love will bring the light. All right, now love will bring the. Let's hear it for the percussion players. Yeah, love will bring the light. Love will bring that light. Oh, need it now. Love will bring the light. Come on now. Love will bring the light. Just like it is. Love will bring the light. I like the way you're talking. Love will bring the light. Got to find it. Love will bring the light. Love will bring the light. Yeah, love. Oh.